800. Yes, the light dusting of golden hair covering his body looks soft and inviting. His muscles fairly ripple below his skin, and he looks like he stepped out of an underwear ad on a Times Square billboard. The broad expanse on his back faces us, and he's focused solely on the task of making coffee. I know he heard us in here, so why would he come out half naked? This is from one of CJ Ellison's works, not Reddick's, basically well. But thank you for the music. I had no idea this was going on this book in Africa. Maybe it was. CJ Ellison is on the line. Hi, CJ.
Hey, Aaron.
Sorry for messing that up. I thought we could make that a bit more exciting.
That's okay. Your voice is so compelling. I was listening to it thinking, wow, what is that he's reading? It took a few seconds for it to realize it was mine.
There you go, yeah. So for folks who don't know you or your work, you haven't been at this for all that long, about 2 or 3 years?
3 years this February,
okay.
Yeah.
And I guess right off the top, and we use this term now because it's trendy and people just kind of find it easy to call it that. But of course, 50 Shades of Grey has opened a lot of women's eyes, as it were, to what's being called mommy porn. I know you don't like that description, right?
No, I can't stand it.
Well, how come?
I really think it degrades what we're reading and what authors are writing. When you think about what the term pornography is, doesn't it normally spark an image of some really horrible stuff in your mind, of just visual images? It's not normally the written word. And that's what I kind of think the comparison should be dropped at. Pornography to me is a lot of the pornographic images that you see, whether they're with people or with, other things. But let's just say that writing is not the same thing by any means, and I just don't care for the comparison.
All right, so now you obviously were a fan of this sort of writing before you actually got into, doing this on your own. What is it you didn't like about what you had been reading up until now?
Everything that I read, whether it was an urban fantasy genre or paranormal romance or a combination of the two, which is something that I tend to write, I found that the genre had a lot of heroines that were bed hopping. They seemed to be terrific at saving the world, preventing the world from some type of great bodily harm, and yet they always messed up their personal relationships, and I just couldn't stand that. Why is it that they couldn't save the day, have the grand adventure, and still have a man by their side, and still be in a happy, healthy relationship? I know it was the author's idea of creating conflict and wanting to have some romantic issues that kind of go from one book to the other, but that's not what real life is.
So you wanted to make it more like real life, rather, but at the same time keep the exciting part in and keep the erotic in and whatever, and that's what you've been able to do.
Yes, I have. It's been a challenge when I'm writing it, but I really enjoy it.
Okay, so was something about 50 Shades of Grey when it came out, given that you're sort of writing the same kind of stuff? Why do you think the reaction has been the way it has to something like that? I mean, it's like Harry Potter for grown-ups.
Yeah, I wish if I knew exactly what it was, I would try to repeat it. So I can't tell you I know exactly why it has taken off like wildfire. I did hear that she had a great grassroots campaign. She really got her word spread with people who read the books originally online and supported her and told people about it. It gradually grew until mainstream picked up on it and put it on the news. And once you get something on the media, it goes everywhere. And that's what happened with her.
I got to tell you something. In talking to people, because 50 Shades of Grey has been a subject of discussion now for quite some time, people will say to you, you know what, it's not great literature. It's not extremely well written. It's the subject matter. Does that bother you?
No, it doesn't at all. If you really think about it, when you look back on some classic literature and you compare it to modern day stuff, the verbiage, the word usage, the way that the sentence structure is done is completely different than how we would feel comfortable reading something today, and yet that's considered to be classic literature. Anything by the Marquis de Sade would be a good example. It would kind of scare you if you read it right now, but back then that was huge, and it spread like wildfire, similar to the way 50 Shades of Grey is. But as far as she told a good story. She told a story that obviously captured a lot of people's attention and that they related to on some level and that they were intrigued by the characters. So when you really cut down and you subtract all the mechanics of writing, are you a good storyteller? And that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
If you can tell a good story like she did, you're going to capture people.
Interesting, in the stuff that you're doing now, you have what's called the Vampire Vacation series. So, I mean, you're bringing back the vampires, you're bringing back werewolves. Was this sort of a conscious decision at the time? Did you think you could take all three of these different angles and kind of, mold them into one?
It's nice that you say I'm bringing it back, but apparently with the True Blood's popularity on HBO...
Yeah, I'm sorry. What I should have said was you're following up the popularity of this genre, because this is all relatively, when I say new, it's the last 5 years, I guess, or so, that this has become a real big deal. But that was something you consciously set out to do?
Well, I read the genre, and I've been reading it for 2 decades, so it's something that I really enjoyed reading. And one of the first rules they tell you is writing is write what you like, write what you know. If you are writing a story that you can't stand how it's turning out, no one else is going to either. So if you read something that intrigues you, and you write something that intrigues you, it's going to follow your passion. And I really enjoy stories that can take me out of everyday life. And that's where the fantastical elements come in. Whether it's vampires or werewolves or witches or wizards, it's a lot of fun to read.
What up to guys like, women like meeting like Fabio types and running off to, great adventures, and then they were all good and well, they came home and that was the end of it?
I think the Fabio adventures of the 80s, with the big chest-heaving, bodice-ripping covers, long flowing hair. I'm not sure if that was the marketing department thinking that's what women wanted on their book covers.
But it was at that time, right? They were successful.
They were, but women were really embarrassed to carry the books. I know I was, for one. You hated to be judged that you were reading a romance book.
Okay.
And the fact that once e-readers came out and the popularity of them took off, it was really led by romance readers who got tired of being judged by by the cover of what they were reading.
Now, in your particular case, I'm curious, how did you get into writing? What were you doing before? You were always involved in this?
No, I was a realtor and a property manager, and I became ill and was unable to work my day job. And I just went to a book club meeting one time and found out 2 of my friends were writing books. And I didn't have a very nice thought. My first thought was, damn, man, he's smarter than I am. How can they be writing a book and I'm not? So I went home and had some ideas, wrote them down. A good friend was an editor. She looked over everything and said, you should really give it a shot. And when I did, she was, I think, the kindest person in the world. She just sat me down and said, you're a natural. I've never seen anything like it. You need to start writing.
Wow, and how's it gone since then? I mean, are you happy with how things have turned out?
It's been a whirlwind. I think I would, after seeing how 50 Shades of Grey has done, we've all would dream to have that type of success. But I have to say I'm grateful for what I've got. I'm grateful for the readers that I've been able to reach and the fan base I've been able to build. And it's just been terrific. I love it.
Good for you. I'm just curious, do you have a husband or family?
I do. I have a husband who supports me in all of this. I've got 2 kids, and they're great, too. They are not able to read these books for obvious reasons. But
do they want to? Did they ask you to?
Oh, they have. And at first I said when you're 18, and now I'm saying when you're 21. So my parents have read them, so I can hold my head up. It's not something that's embarrassing to the family, but definitely I want my kids a little older.
Did your husband sort of, when you started doing this and he started reading what you'd written, did he kind of raise those eyebrows and go, really, where'd this come from?
Oh, no. He knows me well. He knew exactly where it came from.
So you have a nice, healthy relationship.
Oh, we do. We have a great relationship. And that's what I wanted to bring into my books is that, we always talk about the divorce rate in America and how unhappy people are. Well, what about the happy people? If the divorce rate's 50%, probably the other half of us are doing okay. And anyone who's been in a relationship that long knows it's a lot of hard work.
All right. Hey, CJ, nice talking to you from the author of Vampire Vacations, the series. How many books are you up to now?
There's 3 in the series.
Okay, and you working on something else right now?
Oh, yes. I've got a novella coming out in the summer, and I've got another novella in October, and then a 4th book in this series. Actually, the novellas are in the series as well, but the 4th book continuing the existing storyline will be out early January, I believe.
Wow, you are busy. CJ, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Aaron. It was a pleasure.
CJ Ellison from the Vampire Vacation series. And yeah, if you like 50 Shades of Grey, I have a feeling you'll enjoy this as well. All right? So good luck. Let me know how it goes. 3:45, let's head off to traffic right now in the CJAD.